Mid-April is a very busy time of the year for us gardeners. Welcome back to the Garden Hutch. Today we're going to discuss week 15 of 2022. Let's get going. Well, week 15 was definitely a busy week on the homestead. We're going to go through a few things. Mostly today is going to be raised bed updates. We did a lot of things. We put our stakes out for all of our tomatoes, our peppers, our eggplants, so I'll show you that. It also feels like all of our early spring or late winter projects are really coming to fruition, so we're going to take a look at those as well. Oh, we'll take a look at the chickens. They're starting to get some of their true feathers, and they look really weird right now. They're nice and cute when you get them. They're yellow little spots or whatever. Right now they don't look so cute. They're in that odd stage where their true feathers are starting to come in. So we'll take a look at those and see how those girls are doing. I did want to, speaking of the chickens, let you all know we are back to letting our chickens free range for a bit. What we try to do is, in the early morning, that's when we get most of the wild birds in our yard. We'll get most of them in the early morning. So after about 10:30, once the sun kind of moves in on the yard, a lot of the birds will move away. And I don't know if that's because of our cats, or the dogs love to chase them off as well, or maybe it's just their natural patterns. I'm not quite sure. But what we've been doing, the reason that we've kind of gone back to it, I was talking to a fella from the Arkansas Tech University. And they said that if you have a backyard flock, depending on how close you are to other folks, if some of your neighbors get it, you'll still have to put your flock down. So when it comes down to it, it's not really worth it to leave them up and kind of put that stress on the chickens and things, when we would probably just have to get rid of them if the neighbors did anyway. And they're choosing to free range their flocks as well. So what we've done is we've just sort of taken the added step of putting in a few electrolytes. We do let them out later in the morning. Also, he said we're on the back side of the avian influenza. So generally, they had told us to wait until end of April. We're about 2 weeks earlier, so than what we would have been according to that plan. So we just started it this week. The chickens seemed to enjoy it. They hated being locked up, and it was getting kind of expensive. So I guess what we're going to do is end up just taking a chance on this. I'm really hoping it passes us all by. Good luck to any of you folks with a backyard flock, or if you do eggs or anything on your homestead. Well, as you can see, our little baby chicks have grown quite a bit. At this stage, they start becoming much more, I guess, labor intensive. I'm not sure if that's really the right word, but they have very little needs whenever they're little babies. You can fill their water up once a day, and you can fill their food up once a day, and that's pretty much all you have to do. Now we're cleaning out the bottom of their brooder here. We're cleaning it out, I don't know, once every 3 to 4 days. We're also having to refill the water and clean it out. The water, for some reason specifically, they love kicking stuff in it. We've kind of raised it up a little bit off the ground, but I guess I'm gonna have to get to where I hang it soon, now that they're all a little taller. And they'll go through about twice as much food now as they were just 2 weeks ago. But they're all nice and healthy, coming along just fine. You can start to see the difference between these girls over here are much darker. Those are the Isa Browns that we were gifted. The lighter girls with just a little speckle on them, those are the California Tans. The Isa Browns, they are very prolific as well, just like the California Tans as far as egg laying is concerned. Their life expectancy, though, is much less. They only live about 3 to 4 years. Again, we were gifted them, so we don't have an issue with that, but they were the first chickens we had, and we loved them. We just weren't sure when we bought them if we wanted to do chickens full-time or not. Now we've decided we love having the eggs. It's a big part of our diet week in and week out. So it's something we decided to keep. So we're trying to get chickens with a longer lifespan. But when you're given something for free, it's really hard to say no to that, especially egg-laying chickens. Now that we've had a chance to review all of the chicken updates, let's take a look at our raised beds and see where we're at going into the end of April. So in our old garden, we went through and we put in these taller stakes. These taller stakes are going to be where our bell peppers, this front row is going to be all bell peppers, I believe. And then we're going to put the banana peppers in the next row, and we'll go look at it in a minute. But I think we're growing 16 bell peppers. We're going to do 10 banana peppers and 6 cayenne peppers is what it comes down to. So here on the bottom row of the old garden, you can see right down here, this is where our eggplant will be in. So we went in and put the 4 stakes in for the 4 eggplant. And then these, we plant our cayenne peppers much closer than we do the rest of ours. So you can kind of see right there, we have the space for the 6 cayenne peppers. And then we also have these 4, which we're probably going to grow. We have these chili peppers that we kind of started. They were from an old seed packet. We've had it about 3 years. But from what we did the research on, the actual chili peppers themselves are supposed to be sort of mild, and I'd like to try them in some vinegar. I like a little spicy vinegar from time to time. So anyway, we're going to try those and just see what happens. We're really hoping to get something out of them, and if not, you know, no harm, no foul. We also showed this bed last week, but I just wanted to give a quick overview on how quickly these strawberry plants are growing. We have gone through to take out the flowers. Now, every one of these plants has had at least 1 round of flowers already. So if I understand correctly, that means that we could be well on our way to getting strawberries if we had chosen to let those flowers go to fruition. The reason we didn't, once again, in case those of you who have not been keeping up, we don't do that until the 1st of June, just to give our roots a chance to get established. We'll come over here and look. The garlic's looking awesome, but I wanted to pull up one of these onions to kind of give you an idea. Now, we planted these when ice was on the ground, and we go through and thin them. We'll take every other one. So for example, this will be the one, and we'll take it and have it with lunch today. But you can see when you pull these guys out of the ground, they're nice, thick, they're super crispy, and at this stage they're really sweet as well. The bulbs on them haven't gotten very big. We like to go ahead and thin them like this time of year. Once June hits and it starts getting a little bit warmer, what we'll do is we'll clear the mulch out around the tops of the bulbs and sort of move those back so they have an opportunity to get a little bit bigger, and we can store and dry those for the fall and winter. So last time we were up here, not a whole lot has changed. Our cabbages, though, are coming along really nicely. We are really excited about these guys. I believe this one down here is starting to get its head on it. So we're hoping that into June-ish or so that these will be nice, fat, ready to go, and we can use them to make sauerkraut. Now, the only other thing I wanted to show you all in here was we did get the stakes set up for our tomato plants. Now these beds, again, just real fast, we went through and tailored the soil in here. So it's got a little bit extra calcium, potassium, that sort of stuff than the other beds do. And that's just for our tomatoes. So on this side over here, this is where our beef masters, which will be our slicing tomatoes, will be. And we'll put our aromas in this bed. And I'm not sure if I've discussed it yet, but if I haven't, the aromas, I'm gonna try to get 2 rounds, because they're a determinate variety. I'm going to try and get 2 rounds of tomatoes off of them. So my plan is gonna be, if we can get them in the ground into this month, like we're planning on, we should get the majority of the Roma tomatoes at that point. We'll get in mid to late July. So at that point, what I'm hoping to do is have some nice Roma tomatoes coming out of the greenhouse that I can just substitute right into the ground. We'll have to put a lot of eggshells and magnesium sulfate, that sort of stuff, Epsom salt, if you will. Put all that in the ground between hand to make sure that we don't deplete the soil too quickly. But I'd like to give it a shot. I've heard in our region that you can do it if the fall doesn't come on too quickly. So you could pull the second round of your tomatoes into September or maybe first week of October if the weather holds out. So we'll do just a real quick overview here of the pallet garden. This is the beet garden, or the beet bed, I guess would be a better way to put it. And I did a before and after on these guys. You can see they have really picked up. They were kind of knocked over a bit and looking a little rough right after I thinned them. But now they're kind of standing back up and ready to go. And then on this side, we put our turnips in. So I'm ready for those to start coming up. Actually, I think you can see a few of them. See if I can get on the camera. just coming up right through there. So turnips grow pretty rapidly, and they're our favorite green to cook, turnip greens. Our carrots are doing quite well. Let's see here. You can see the carrots up here are doing pretty well. I went through and thinned them out as well, so I think I could have planted these instead of 4 rows. I could have done 5. So last fall we did 6 rows, and it was just too much for one of these beds. So in the fall this year we're going to do 5, and I believe that'll be the sweet spot. I do want to see how big the carrots get though whenever you give them this amount of space. The other advantage is you know, when you do it like this, you can kind of off stagger the rows a little bit, and that way you're not depleting the same soil you know, year in, year out, or I guess time in, time out if you're in the case of the carrots, since we're going to plant them twice a year. And this is our early spring bed, really. This is what we use it for. And last week I showed how we thinned the radishes out, and just 1 week you can see they went from having, you know, just little bitty tips on them to where in the areas that they're nice and thinned out, that we'll be eating radishes for lunch today with that onion that we pulled. In fact, I'll just pull one up so you can kind of see. So what we'll do is we'll cut out the bigger pieces of this and thin it out so the smaller pieces will grow. We'll probably pull 2 or 3 of these guys, and we'll use these greens, mix them all in, throw a little oil and vinegar over the top with carrots and a cucumber, and we are ready to go. Since we were up here, I figured I'd go ahead and give you an update here on the greenhouse. Today was the first day that we set our plants out in the sun for 2 hours. We did a video on that. I'll put that right up here in the top in case you guys didn't see how to harden them off. But today was the day that we started. The reason for this is, as we're getting closer and closer to our plant date of April 30th, if the long-term forecast comes out and it looks promising, we may put them in a week early. You don't get a whole lot out of it when you do that, except for time. We've already had to start mowing and that sort of stuff, so the more time we have in the yard, the better off we're going to be. But I'm not sure if you remember last week, you know, the tomato plants, we filled these up again, and they have just taken off. And the reason for that is the evenings have been much warmer. I say evenings, overnight. When your overnight temperatures start going up, that's when your tomatoes and peppers, eggplants, those sort of things will start taking off. Down here you can see these nice size pepper plants that we have. We also were gifted some extra cayenne peppers. We're not real big on hot peppers, but my uncle likes them, and we had a little extra room, and he makes some great salsa out of them, so we made a little deal, and we'll plant his hot peppers and he'll give us fresh salsa. I'd like to wrap up this week's vlog with just a few things that we're going to do in the future. I believe over the next couple weeks we're going to try the first row of the big garden. We've just decided to do the whole thing in raised beds. So what we're going to do is we're just going to do it 1 row at a time, get it all set up, get it all planted, and then go down. That way we may not get the whole thing planted for summer, but we might be able to get some summer crops, and then we can use the ones that get put in later to maybe get something from the fall. Maybe we'll put beets or carrots or something in this year. But we've just decided the soil down there, we've had it tested, we've tried to improve it. The density, it's just terrible. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring in, I'm gonna go through, I'm gonna turn the soil, I'll build the raised beds around it. On top of that turned earth, I will put straw in, and then I'll put in about 6 to 8 inches of compost on top of that. As we showed last week, we've already put a couple 100 pounds of chicken manure in that bottom part, so that'll give it a really good nitrogen base. The chicken manure is already cured, so you don't have to worry about it really killing the plants. It's just that the dirt is not good enough to actually give the plants a nice root system. So we're gonna go a different avenue. We're gonna put the raised beds. We'll put, you know, like I said, we already put the fertilizer in the bottom. We'll put the straw in the top side of that. And then on top of the straw, we'll put in the compost. And of course, we'll be happy to show everybody that as we go. We do it using all recycled materials, so maybe that'll give you all a few ideas on how to do your raised beds. Another thing I wanted to update everyone on are the fruit trees. Our apple and pear trees have all bloomed. The apple trees are currently blooming, and they should be finished, I don't know, in the next 3-4 days. Once they're finished, we're going to start an every 10-day regiment of, we'll fill up the backpack sprayer, we'll use Dawn dishwashing detergent and neem oil. Every 10 days we'll go through and we'll soak the trees as well as we can. The pear trees, I'm not sure if I can get way up there on the top of that. I don't think the backpack sprayer will reach up there, but we're gonna do as much as we can to try to keep as much of the insects from eating our fruit this year. I really would like to get fruit. That's something that's a big goal of mine this year. If we don't get it this year, after putting all the effort into it, I may just have to say, you know, to heck with it and just take those fruit trees out and start over. And the final update for the week is we should be getting our bees in the next, I don't know, 2-3 weeks. So this month, April's the month that we get our bee nukes. So we're gonna have to wait and see. We didn't get them in the early spring, I'm sorry, in the early fall. We didn't reserve them. So we're kind of on a backup list. So you don't have like a definitive date. It could be, you know, first week of May for all we know. But as we've shown before, we're ready for those. I'm really excited, especially after all the honey we got this spring when we pulled honey. It was fantastic. We're finding just any excuse we can to eat the honey, in fact. We go through the process. I'll make honey chicken and honey pork. I've made honey buns. Anything I can think of really with honey in it I've tried, and we love every bit of it. So with all of that said, I would like to thank everybody that's made it to the end of the video. If you have not, please consider subscribing to the channel. You can hit the little bell icon. YouTube will let you know when we upload new content. If you enjoyed this video, consider giving it a like. Until next time, I hope all you folks take care of yourselves. Peace.